All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So there was a report that came out this morning from Ian Rapoport, super early. I'm talking like 6:30 a.m., saying that the New York Jets inquired about quarterback Matthew Stafford regarding a potential trade with the LA Rams. Now, Rapoport did go on to say that that the talks were brief, they were to the point, they were pretty simple. The Rams said no, he's not available for a trade. But the point of it is, the Jets reached out. Joe Douglas reached out to the Rams about acquiring Matt Stafford. Now, Rapoport does go on to point out that this came before the Darkness retreat. And of course, at that time, if we think back, everything was out, or really up in the air. Rodgers' retirement, Rodgers still sticking with the Green Bay Packers, what was going on with Derek Carr, right? A lot of different questions. We had the Lamar Jackson whole situation too. So this is just those higher tier guys, right? If we think back, there were also like middle of the road options too, that were like at the time realistic, like Ryan Tannehill from the Tennessee Titans, Jimmy Garoppolo leaving the 49ers. Of course, he goes out and signs that multi-year deal with the Raiders. But, you know, again, if we think back, like the Jets met with Derek Carr. There was obvious interest with Aaron Rodgers, and Joe Douglas actually alluded to it in a in a press conference recently, where he said that as the offseason progressed, it seemed like Aaron Rodgers' availability kept, or really the chances of Rodgers joining the Jets continued to go up. The realistic nature of it continued to rise. And so, you know, clearly at that point in time, if Joe Douglas wants to call around the league and he's looking at the roster saying, hey, you know what? We have a great defense. We have a nice young core. We have some offensive weapons. We have money to spend in free agency. Oh, and by the way, we still have an entire draft class as well. I am totally for Joe Douglas doing the due diligence here, reaching out. Because if we think back, if we put ourselves, like it's easy to look back in hindsight and say, hey, you know what? We got Aaron Rodgers, literally the biggest name on the market, right? He was the biggest name move, whether we're talking free agency, whether we're talking draft pick, whether we're talking trades, it was Aaron Rodgers. That was like the number one player, a player that could have been moved this offseason, and he just so happened to get moved to the New York Jets for, like Rapoport said, a huge deal. But in the event that Rodgers decided to retire, in the event that Rodgers wanted to, play one or two more seasons with the Green Bay Packers, it's like the Jets had to pivot. Like we could not have gone into this offseason with just the same cast as last year. It would have just been unacceptable. So whether that was the Derek Carr, who I was a big fan of, still a big fan of, I think he's going to do great things with the New Orleans Saints. I'm really excited to kind of see how the season plays out for them. They have a really favorable schedule. They're playing in a favorable division. I'm going to be pulling for the Saints for sure. Big fan of Derek Carr. And then, in regards to like a Matt Stafford thing, to me, again, it's just the due diligence here. It's just the general manager of the football team making the responsible decision to say, hey, you know what? Here's a veteran out on another team that could be available. We don't know, but we're going to pick up the phone and call. So, of course, things didn't go anywhere, but I do think it's interesting. I definitely think it's interesting. And it's also kind of weird how this is dropping today, like the first Sunday of the NFL season. And by the way, I hope you're having a great Sunday. And it does feel a little weird that the Jets aren't playing today. But no, I know tomorrow night it's going to be crazy. It's going to be absolutely nuts. So enjoy your Sunday. Enjoy the slate of NFL games. And yeah, thanks so much for watching. And as always, go Jets.